Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Swanton Village Board of Trustees for Monday, April 24th, 2023. The first meeting after the Riviera Hotel came down. That's something to be celebrated. Anyway, moving right along. Agenda review, do we have any changes, additions? Do you have something?
No, sir.
Later.
Yes.
I have something.
Okay.
Under any other business, I have a coin drop request. And I also have an Abenaki tribal request for the Village Green, and I'm hoping he shows up. So I was gonna do that under number 4, but he's not here, so
Okay.
we could probably do it under any other business as well.
Okay.
Okay?
Good. Anything else? And we do have an executive session.
Yep.
We do. Okay. Good enough. Next item on the agenda, please rise and we'll pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public comment. I don't have one public. Would you like to comment at this
No
point?
comment.
Anybody else want to say anything under public comment?
No, sir.
Sure.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Item number 5, approve and accept the minutes from our Monday, April 10th, 2023 meeting as presented. What's your pleasure on the minutes?
I move that they be approved as presented.
And no second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve and accept our minutes from Monday, April 10th. Any discussion?
No, sir.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion's carried unanimously. Chris is MIA.
No, he's not.
You got some
Missing,
issues?
he just can't make it because of the flood.
Okay. Item number 6, approve and accept the village warrants through April 20th, 2023. What's your pleasure on the warrants?
I'll move we approve and accept the village warrants through April 20th, 2023 as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve and accept the village warrants through April 20th. Any questions, discussions?
Not tonight.
No.
On that?
Nope.
Nope.
No? Okay.
All pretty planned for.
No discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion carried unanimously. Item number 7, we have Paul Nolan here, he's going to discuss our FERC relicensing. This ought to be interesting. So, I'll give the floor to you, Paul, and welcome back to Swan.
Thank you. So I gave you a summary kind of called the Alpha to Omega, where it kind of laid out when we started this back in 2017. I've updated that, so I have copies here, but the most recent thing is that FERC has issued a second scoping document. And in that scoping document, because they've asked us to do some additional studies in order for them to assess and prepare an environmental assessment, they are now saying that they don't expect to be ready for environmental analysis, preparation of the NEPA documents, to even commence that process until February 2024. And that is significant because that's the date that would trigger us having to even start talking to Vermont A&R about the 401. So this process is dragging out to 2025, 2026, when you might get your new license, which I'm not gonna embellish, but it basically means you keep operating as is where is until that happens, which is not bad.
So
You keep operating, peaking, you keep operating with the current min flows, you don't do anything else until FERC issues a new license in 2020, late 2025, early 2026, possibly.
So the questions that FERC has, are they their own or are they Vermont issues that they're?
This goes back to a December 19th dispute resolution where the Vermont is the tail that wags the dog. I'm saying that nicely, okay? I'm not taking cheap shots because they're not here. do it right to their face. They have their own agenda for the water quality certificate. They have their own water quality standards. And those standards, which VEPSA and the village try to get them to respond to make it somewhat, I wouldn't say leniency to hydro, but to recognize hydro's position, they just basically walked over everyone. So their view is when you make this discharge into the river through your turbines, they want to regulate not only that discharge for water quality, but the whole activity of hydro operation. So they take a very expansive view, and they want to include recreation, aesthetics, birds, Morrisville has loons. A lot of things they could have focused on, they didn't. They didn't seem to think the impoundment was a big deal. That they clearly want us to convert to run a river year-round, and therefore they're focusing on what are we doing downstream that affects the environment. And they use words like, we possibly could be affecting, we possibly could be hurting the habitat. At the same time out of their mouth, they'll say, we'll find a report that says that there's a mussel refuge that shows it's doing very well downstream of us, downstream of Lower Swanton Dam. We recently found and have produced a memo that's still in draft form to go out. But basically, we're aware now that in 2021, Sheldon Springs did a study of releasing flows, peaking operation, if you will, in May, which is when we're not supposed to be peaking at all. But they wanted to do this for whitewater recreation. That's the key. That's a special, unique niche of East Coast elitists. And I'll say it, and I say it to their face, I think they do more than just paddle the canoes. But downstream, they found that release of water of 800 CFS, 400 CFS, levels that we propose, has no significant impact, adverse, but no significant impact downstream. So we're in the process of recommending, right through Reggie and Bill, that we go back to FERC and say, this is not a transparent exercise anymore. And we object to this, and we found this other study that supports our studies, and we want you to reconsider this massive study that you would request us to do, although we have come down significantly in cost from what FERC thought it would be and what the Vermont agency. But the bottom line comes down to, you have the FERC licensing proceeding, and then separate you have the 401 certificate proceeding. And the state has been very good, think of the COVID virus, of infecting the FERC process, trying to make it do what it wants to do. So every letter they write is, well, FERC, that's okay, but that won't really meet our requirements. And FERC has kind of said, well, what we need is just study, just so we can get our NEPA documents out. And then if you, the applicant, village, want to do more to appease them, you can do it now, or you can wait until later. And then you can possibly deal with the environmental court in Vermont. Some of the strategy some of the thinking here publicly is to say that we have to recognize this inherent tension between Vermont A&R and FERC, and that Vermont A&R is the tail that wags the dog, and it's been allowed to happen through the courts. And with that speaking, there were some court decisions early on, more than 20 years ago, that kind of set the tone that whatever Vermont wanted in their 401s is what had to be in the license as a mandatory term. But now we have before the courts a whole new regime of regulations that are favorable to hydro and are pending before the court. And the court is, I think, disposed to rule in favor of those, because the dissents from 15 years ago that objected to the prior rules, those people are still on the court when something happens. So there's a lot in the air, but I think my recommendation is we're going to do studies one way or the other. Right now we have a team in place. We're doing the studies that FERC asked us to do. We're doing a little bit more so that we have the arrows in our quiver to respond to anything that the agencies want to ask going forward in a year or so from now. So that's where we kind of sit. We're trying to tread water, and unlike your swans, we're trying to be cool underneath. So do it.
Is what FERC is proposing proposing, I don't know if it's a proposal, but is what they're doing by pushing this back to 2024 simply appeasing A&R?
No, what happened, it's a result of them having appeased Vermont A&R by saying, when they and U.S. Fish and Wildlife said we didn't do the studies they want us to do, and we said we did what had to be done to prove that we weren't harming the environment and to allow us to fashion what we call protection, mitigation, enhancement measures, like converting to run a river anytime the water flow is less than 400 CFS, which kind of takes care of the dry months. You're not really going to be peaking then, or peaking that much. Or extending the spawning season run a river operation by 2 additional weeks, which is what they asked us to do many years ago, but they wouldn't really sit down and negotiate it with us. So FERC came in and said, we want you to do what they call a binary suitability assessment. And it's a very old way, no one really does it anymore. It's been criticized a lot. But they said, do that and give us a report by December 19th, 2023. And because of that long period, because we have to do the study starting actually in May, collecting the field data, go through August, and then we're going to do a mussel study to prove that the environment is healthy. And that's important because if you don't have a mussel population, then you don't have a healthy river. It's what I call our canary in the coal mine. So we're doing a little bit more than what FERC wanted. We're maybe not doing, we will never satisfy what Vermont A&R wanted because they wanted very expensive 2D modeling below Lower Swanton. Now with this new study that we came across, we're going to go back to FERC and say we shouldn't be doing anything below Lower Swanton because you FERC, Vermont A&R withheld that information. You knew it when you were asking for these studies, or you should have known it because it's in your files. And so I'll have to bring it into our proceeding. So the delay from FERC is just that they can't see with getting a December report. I think they're more than not likely to even really commence that process of ready for environmental analysis by April of 2024. But if they do, they'll give the Vermont agency a year to issue their 401. And at some point, we have to pursue some other alternatives, which we should discuss in executive session.
So I guess I missed that part where we were going to get, with this last filing that they did in December, it was going to get us beyond the 2024 timeline. I guess I missed that part.
Well, because our report is due by December 19th, so it'll get filed probably in December, and then because everyone always waits until the deadline to get their drafts in.
Yeah.
And then FERC has to review it, and we have our recommendations to go with it. And that doesn't necessarily say it's going to move right into ready for environmental analysis in April of 2024. But even if it does, then we have 60 days to ask Vermont A&R to submit an application to them. And that application is basically consists of the FERC record. It's not anything new. Their whole process is, give us everything you gave FERC. You go, well, you've been right there, lockstep with us from day one. So it's a letter basically incorporating by reference all these filings. And then they have up to a year to deny the certificate or to grant it with conditions, or waive it. And when you come to waiver, that's no longer is it really going to be what went on with Morrisville for 6 years of withdraw it and resubmit it and get started another 1 year period. But we don't need to get in the weeds on that right now.
Okay. So again, just to go back, 401 is the water quality.
Water quality certificate.
And
FERC can't issue a license without that.
Correct.
And that's why Vermont A&R can act like the tail that wags the dog.
Are they just trying to show that they have the power? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
as a federal agency,
what they've
they should
done,
just shut them down.
well, they can't because the willpower at the agency is not there. They're not even, I don't believe they're even following the current regulations under the EPA. And there's been some pushback by some of the bigger hydros now saying, you aren't following the regs. They've asked for a hearing and they've taken them to the Court of Appeals. So basically that's why a lot of this stuff is before in the Court of Appeals or in this two instances before the Supreme Court, because they're saying the agency basically has advocated its role in the Clean Water Act to make certain determinations. One determination they're supposed to make, which is very important for us, is they're supposed to be calling balls and strikes. And I'll say that to a peace bill, but I figured he knows what I'm talking about. That they're supposed to actually say, you know, this is discharge related, not activity related. So if it's discharge related, we include it in the license as a mandatory term and condition. If it's not related to discharge, we're not going to impose it in the license as such, but we will evaluate it as one of the public benefits. So if you say we want 10 canoe portages, they may look and say there's no need for canoe portage, we're not going to include it. Whereas in years past, they could put it in 10, they could say carports, what they do, and I just reviewed the one for Washington. We reserve the right at any time to change the water quality certificate and to amend it as needed. Well, how can you license a project if another agency that doesn't have the federal authority to issue licenses basically grants itself that right indirectly? So that's another area that's been a problem. Unfortunately, my recommendation is, this is not, I think we have to go to executive session, is that a lot of the licensees and others have conceded this power to the state, and that's an issue that has to be resolved by the state.
Yeah. Gotta figure out how to cut the tail off.
And it's a religion for the staff. The staff, their religion is natural flow of the river, and dam removal.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point. Well, it's pretty sad.
Frustrating.
Yeah, that's the term. I think it's more frustration than, because now, hearing this is just gonna prolong the expense.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
what the state's trying to do, is get it to a point where we can't afford it anymore and we have to shut down.
I think those are things to be discussed.
Yeah.
In executive session.
Yeah. For caution to be non-compliant, I'm not gonna say anymore, because I could say something about the meeting that we had with FERC, and supposedly the state of Vermont didn't show up. That's a perfect example of it, because they were off the clock. It's another thing.
Oh, the afternoon when we had
The
the,
evening, we had up
but,
there, all the dogs that were wagging their tails were here in the morning session because they were on the clock. They didn't come to the evening one. FERC was up there. That was a good meeting.
there was a meeting with John Balmer.
September meeting.
I remember it well.
And that was a rush meeting because suddenly they realized that their budget was coming to an end, and so they started rushing to do all these studies and get them done. It's a government agency.
So do we need anything on the record for guidance to include support for Paul Nolan to request technical meeting based on the discovery of the Sheldon Springs study, followed by following the recommendations of Paul Nolan to conduct the supplementary support studies? Do we need a motion for something like that? Or just some conversations acknowledging those two steps? And if I misspoke, please let me know.
No, that's fine. That covers it.
I don't
I
think,
need a motion.
In the minutes.
Well, I don't think we've ever had a motion before.
Fair
I
enough.
think we want to proceed. I
Yes,
might say my words
definitely.
out.
Good. We discussed it, I think we're good then. It's in the minutes.
so we can, because attorney-client privilege, we can discuss more of the detail of that document.
Yep.
And then we'll fine tune it, soften it a little bit, and then we'll send it out. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, stay tuned. So you're gonna be around for executive session then, I'm assuming?
I have to go to Enosburg tomorrow, so I'm yours all day. You got quite a break, because I had a deal with Harlan. If I wore a suit, I got $10 extra.
That's
So
fine.
we were doing a
We finally
discussion.
got Bill out of
We
this.
were doing this
Yeah,
discussion with
like-
the Corps of Engineers, and I had to get up and leave, and someone said, "Where's your attorney going?" Because he's going in to put a suit on, you just cost him $10. So I had to go in and change in the bathroom, put my suit on, and come back out.
Nice.
I love it. So, thank you, Paul. Item number 8 on the agenda, review, Chris isn't here, we can't do this.
Oh, sure we can.
Review and acknowledge the 2023 first quarter SQRP report. So,
Question.
can I have a motion that we've reviewed it and okayed it?
Yes, I'll say that we recognize the receipt of it, and I have reviewed it.
And I'll second.
Okay,
And we are doing good.
so we have
Speed.
reviewed and acknowledged the first quarter SQRP, report, and that is the motion, and all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, okay, the motion is carried. Number 9, the village manager's update.
I'm gonna be super quick this evening, for the record, very quick. Why are you looking at me like that?
Okay.
Hotel rib update. Yes, we should celebrate the fact that it's down. Next steps, as you know, they did additional supplemental investigation in the form of borings on site in about 2 weeks ago. We should expect the results back from that mid-May. KAS will then prepare a corrective action plan based on whether or not we need to do certain things. So, take it easy, Mr. Village President. More to follow. That does give us the opportunity for the trustees to think about how they want to start crafting the request for proposal that will go out to include, wording and things like that. I also suggest, once we get done with whatever mitigation KAS mandates, that we probably should do an official survey of the property and pay for that service. Okay.
That's
And
it?
Go ahead.
That's it?
No,
Oh, I don't think so.
but this is gonna be quicker than normal.
But, Bill, before you go on,
Yes.
anything else, can I add to the Riviera Hotel?
Please do.
I've heard nothing but positive feedback from the cleanup there. I went to the presentation at the library yesterday that Jason Barney and his students put on. Actually, his students did a really good job, that Longe kid.
There's a gentleman that's a junior in high school that's gonna be a history teacher that is lights out, phenomenal researcher, presentation. He did an hour, if you wanna go on YouTube TV, well, our friends here that are videotaping, Jason Barney's last session, the kid is brilliant. It's really good to listen to.
Yeah, he told the audience about the first murder
Yes.
in the Riviera
Yes.
Hotel in 1887, something like that. And he had everything researched, so he knew just, what kind of an argument there was, who was drunk and who wasn't, who got beat up and who shot the other. And then they had to take the victim to the hospital in Burlington on a train. So it was really interesting. And I'd like to thank Jason and his students for that presentation and for being able to go through with us before the building came down. And I'd also like to thank David Shea, Jeff Corey, the demolition crew. Everything went really smooth, I thought, and no danger to anybody. And I also would like to thank Elizabeth Nance for hanging in there with us. And she had a little doubt about me. I guess everybody had a little doubt about my patience over there.
Not a bit, no sir.
And I should also thank Northwest Regional Planning Commission for their help in guiding us through this brownfields issue. That was the stickler there, so. But anyway, thanks for all that attend. Thank Butch Patch for supplying coffee and donuts the night of the demolition, or the day of the demolition. So anyway, thanks everyone involved. It went real well.
Thank you.
Okay, Bill, sorry.
No, that's good. So the Scott Mueller Scholarship, again, thanks to Paul for his generous donation, and thank the trustees for a total now $7,500. But I think this is a model according to MVU and their internship fledgling program for us to follow in the future. So myself, Reg, Dan Shivagi from our side, along with Principal Dan Palmer and Richard Barwin, set in on the 3 interviews, and it was a great experience for somebody that's a senior at FEU to get 5 people in front of them in a kind of an official formatted interview was really cool. And all 3 could have done the job. Of course, you can only select one, but a young man named Dalton LaPlante has accepted the position. He'll start immediately after graduation. Side note, he is already, I think, signed up and has an interest in being a lineman and is going to lineman school. So there's a direct tie-in, and it's a local kid that hopefully, if he's got the skill sets, he'll get in a leg up by being around that whole system. And it's a kid that wants to stay local, which is, you get him from local to be here for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. Anything else on that, Reg?
No, that was I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think that was a good relationship with the school.
Yeah, I think it went very well for them. Heidi Valenta Brich will be starting as the grant specialist project coordinator, part-time on May 8th and full-time June 1st. So that's we're looking forward to that because there's no shortage of grants to pursue and projects to complete. So that's a good thing. Missisquoi River Crossing update. We now are the proud owners of the very small parcel at 15 Webster Terrace. Reg was successful in going out and getting the last of the easements. We are just finishing up that process. Reg presented our case to the DRB on April 20th, and we now have in our hands a conditional use permit. So full steam ahead. Lynn now is very close to being able to go back and get some debt reimbursement that we have on the books for project cost. And I think we're maybe a little bit delayed, but I think summer is still late summer for a project start date. Reg, anything more on that?
No, it's about right. We still have some, the attorney's still looking for some deeds that are signed off, so working on that tomorrow.
Okay, good. Last update I have before executive session is, of course, we now own next door. Weeman Lamphere is full steam ahead. We've had civil engineers on site doing utility mapping and the like. For the trustees, just an FYI, our next steps internally are to work and remove both structures at no cost to the village. I like that, no cost to the village. So we will, with Public Works and other help here, take down the building, and then the tower will come down, and we have an agreement in principle with Hodgkin Brothers they'll do the work and take it away, cost neutral, no cost to us.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice job.
That's all that I have.
That's pretty good.
Right, Bill.
You doubted me, whatever.
So, what else? The lot down on Merchants Road, that's all set,
Still,
or?
parking lot area?
So the one that we're supposed to be talking about in executive session, you mean? Because it's not a done
Oh,
deal?
okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can talk about that. Almost there, this week or next. Yes.
Okay, I'll take my foot out of my mouth and proceed. Any other necessary business? Diane?
I do. The local Abenaki, Missisquoi, Maquam Bay of Missisquoi is requesting to have a coin drop on Saturday, July 1st, with a rain date of Saturday, July 8th, to benefit the local food shelf that feeds not only Native American community members, but any community member. They feed anywhere from 300 to 500 families a month.
300 to 500?
300 to 500.
Wow.
So it's very busy and
know that.
it's for everyone in the community, not just Native American folk. And they would like to do a coin drop to help raise some money to support the food shelf.
Okay.
Per month, is that?
Per month, that's how many. And Debbie also has the numbers on how many, so I think that might be meals per month, but how many of those are native and how many are not. So she really has broken it down to statistics, but it's for everyone in the community. And they're very busy, they're putting a lot of food through that community food shelf, and they need support.
So they wanna have
They wanna have a coin
Coin drop.
drop on Saturday, July 1st, or rain date, July 8th.
Okay.
From 9 to 12, with the, all the rules that are in place. They're aware of.
Why July 1st? It's a holiday weekend.
That's why.
that's all?
Yeah,
I
That's
mean,
exactly why.
I mean, we don't think we've ever allowed one on a holiday weekend before.
so you wanna go to July 8th and move it to, so
I-
July 4th
I'm-
is a Tuesday. So it's
The fourth.
4 days from the holiday, but if you can move it from the 8th and the 15th, they're fine.
That's fine with me. I'll make a motion that we do so.
The 8th and the
Approve
15th.
the request for July 8th or the 15th.
Okay.
Is there a second? Or do I have to second it?
You have to second it.
And
Or I will second it.
Okay. Motion has
I
been
understand.
Oh my God.
made and seconded to allow the Abenaki to have a coin drop, either July 8th or the 15th, depending on the weather, for their food shelf benefit. Any more discussion?
No.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's see, that's 50%.
I don't have a vote, right?
You can't vote.
You have the vote.
Huh?
You have the vote.
I'll vote for the Abenaki coin drop. So the majority rules, sorry, Adam,
It's okay. It's democracy in action.
and you can
Let's see, we're gonna have another one.
tell them it'll be okay.
They will be very pleased, thank you.
Thank you. And did you want to bring something up under
Me?
any other necessary?
I do, but it's gonna have to be an executive, I think.
No, but you texted me the other day about the goose downtown. I mean, the swan.
The Swan. Yeah, we can do that later.
Oh,
That should
Yeah,
be
we're all,
later.
that, yeah, that's all later.
Should be later
Next year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that's it. Are there any other necessary business?
I just want to remind everybody, the Memorial Day Parade is Monday, May 29th, not May 26th, as I said the last couple meetings. Starts at 2, ends at 3. Swanton Fire Department will be putting on a free barbecue again this summer, or for this parade, at the end of the parade, so please come out. It's going to support Josh's house once again, very worthy cause. Flags for veterans, the flags will go up on Saturday, May 27th, come down the following Saturday. If you're around and would like to help, all hands on deck.
What do you need to bring?
Bring yourself.
A time?
It's all in 8?
We're gonna start at 9 and we hope to be done by 10:30, 11 o'clock if we get enough help. So,
8, 21,
27.
27, right?
There will be a Citizens Band concert on June 28th. I believe it's a Wednesday or a Thursday, I don't remember, from 7 to 8. And just another shout out for the car show on Saturday, July 29th. That's all I got.
The fireworks, you have any fireworks for Memorial Day?
No, sir.
No,
What about July 4th?
No, sir.
maybe the town hall. Maybe the town hall.
Oh, that's right, they're the ones.
I have one little thing. I just forgot. I forgot to write it down. Oh, have we had any requests for the food trucks in the park?
So I think that's gonna go with, the farmer's market, like every third Sunday from May to October.
It's never been
That
brought
was,
up this year, as far as I know.
We had
I thought we did.
we had it here, we discussed it, and they're doing
Approved.
5 different dates
yeah,
with food trucks.
it's the third Sunday of each month, beginning May, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
So it's,
I read it in the minutes, we definitely talked about it.
yeah,
Did I miss a meeting? Oh, maybe the COVID time.
Probably.
Yeah.
Might have-
But
yes,
the
could be.
food, the food trucks will all come through that with that committee.
Okay, great. For the public to know.
Yeah, no, they look forward to it.
Okay, anything else? Reg?
I have to look at it. Let's do it that way. One's easy.
It's always a pleasure to get to embarrass somebody. So, I don't know, Bill, if you wanna come here with me? Paul?
After you, Paul.
So, Swanton Village Board of Trustees and Management would like to recognize Paul Nolan for his 30 years of service to the Ormond-Croft Hydro Facility. Paul's dedicated service to Swanton Village is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Paul. 2023.
Thank you.
Means a lot.
Thank you so much.
You know, sometimes I get to start a project, a few times I actually go from start to finish. So when we did the rubber dam and then the small min flow turbine, and this was actually accomplishments that very few attorneys get to do. And continue to enjoy working with everyone and look forward to working with you, Bill.
Me too, same here.
I'll give you a few more.
It's been a pleasure.
It's good start for you.
And
No, it doesn't.
the, you know, Harlan and, you know, obviously Scott, and just the character of the people, as opposed to my character, which is just outstanding. I was gonna make a comment, but I'll do it anyways. I really appreciate working for communities like this, because we do pledge allegiance to the flag. My county does not permit it. They get very upset when people do it in public comment. So you are to be applauded for your patriotism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reg.
Thank you.
Anything else before we go into executive session? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, real estate, and legal matters.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to go into executive session. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we are in executive session.